Hello, thanks for stopping by. I'm Mr. Fide, not a mental health professional, just a guy that read a book. And today, as always, I am speaking my own opinion as I compare Margaret Singer's book, Cults in Our Midst, to the practices of Scientology. I will be touching on Chapter 8 of her book, Intruding into the Workplace. And believe it or not, until this point in the book, Singer has actually been rather quiet about the Church of Scientology, only naming it once or maybe twice that I can remember. In this section, it is clear that she believed the Church of Scientology to be a cult. She mentions them in the section entitled Management Courses and Workers' Responses. She mentions how Sterling Management Systems, a consulting group for members of the medical profession and chiropractors, offers plans to increase the income of their clients. And although Sterling claims to be a secular organization, one lawsuit filed by 3 dentists alleges that a $17,000 seminar turned out to be a week-long Scientology workshop aimed at recruiting them into the church. One dentist in the suit spent $65,000 alone in 6 months on the Sterling course and further Scientology counseling. And a promotional brochure states testimony of Susan Oakart of Sterling Management. The biggest win, and being a W.I.S.E member, is the opportunity to disseminate LRH tech widely and especially getting large numbers of new public on and up the bridge. This quarter, the number of our clients that went clear at Orange County alone totaled 109. That equals out to more than one a day. Singer mentions a California computer chip manufacturer settled out of court for $600,000 with 3 employees who alleged they were driven out of the company after they complained about L. Ron Hubbard's Applied Scholastics program, and Applied Materials admitted it had lacked sensitivity with regard to the controversial nature of L. Ron Hubbard. One former member of a candy company stated, "It was like Scientology came in disguised as a management course. All the red lights went off for me. It was like I was being brainwashed or something. At this time, I would like to quote L. Ron Hubbard from the Zone Plan, which is a special bulletin written by Hubbard and published in the W.I.S.E magazine Prosperity. The role of a Scientologist is to influence groups and organizations. The cue in all this is don't seek the cooperation of the groups. Don't ask for permission. Just enter them and start functioning." And a 1990 lawsuit filed against Stryker Systems, not only a medical but military computer company, settled out of court because employees complained of the Scientology practice of having to write out their overts and withholds, a version of confession, as we mentioned in previous chapters, where you not only confess to your actions but to your thoughts as well. Scientology seems to have an entire front group aimed at businesses, particularly forms of doctors' offices, called the World Institute of Scientology Enterprises. In 1986, one of the stated goals of W.I.S.E was to get LRH administrative technology fully into use in every business in the world. Well, so much for capitalism. However, in 1993, the Church of Scientology agreed to close down the corporate entity known as World Institute of Scientology Enterprises by the end of December of 1995 to gain tax-exempt status. And I will read you this from a report by Jeff Jacobsen. On October 1st, 1993, the Church of Scientology and many of its corporate entities, including W.I.S.E, were granted tax exemption. The IRS and Scientology signed a secret agreement leaked by the Wall Street Journal that required certain things of Scientology and the IRS. The agreement required that Scientology close their corporate entity, World Institute of Scientology Enterprises, also known as W.I.S.E. The agreement states, "The members of the CTCC shall no later than December 31st, 1995 evacuate the dissolution of W.I.S.E. Inc. and transfer all of its assets, including but not limited to its rights to Scientology religious marks, to the Inspector General's network." As of August 22, 2008, the California Secretary of State still lists W.I.S.E. as an active corporation. W.I.S.E. still has an active web page. W.I.S.E. is still active in the United States and abroad. David Miscavige, in his October 8, 1993 victory speech, stated that over the last several years we have been expanding our efforts to let LRH's admin tech into full use. W.I.S.E. International has now set up a new college to train people in this tech. It is called the Hubbard College of Administration, and as you can see here, it too is recognized by the IRS. Apparently there was no written penalty for not complying with this portion of the agreement. But obviously, W.I.S.E was not dissolved. I will put a link to the entire Jacobsen article that these links have been taken from, with full references in the info box, where you can read Hubbard's quotes such as, well, you've got a choice. You've got a choice between Pavlovian Russian psychiatry, or you have a choice between that or Dianetics and Scientology. Singer in her book put forth a hypothetical 5-day workshop to illustrate how a cult might offer an out-of-town business training seminar. And briefly, it would be, on day 1, you would show your dominance and leadership. Day 2 is used to install the new philosophy. Day 3 might be recalling the past memories of traumatic experiences and guided imagery tactics we discussed in Chapter 7. Day 4, the tone of the day is much lighter than the rest and focuses on selling more courses. And finally, Day 5 is also lighter, and surprises are often given. For example, oftentimes special surprise guests will make an appearance, and while they have you in a good mood, they will reschedule you to come back for more training. You may want to keep these 5 themes in mind while viewing the next section of Chapter 8, Part B. And this chiropractor describes his first trip to Flag for what he thought was going to be a business training seminar. Some of you may have noticed that at the end of Chapter 7 I mentioned I may be skipping this chapter because there was not a lot of information about W.I.S.E on the internet. But thanks to a tremendous amount of information sent to me by one of my viewers, I have decided not only to go ahead with Chapter 8 Part A, but I am planning a Part B, and I am also having a hard time resisting the temptation for putting forth the very apropos Chapter 8C. But for the most part, this section does conclude the Scientology portion of Margaret Singer's book, but I will be coming back soon with some extra credit reporting. I hope you come back, and until then, I'm Mr. Fide.